Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome into Between the Lines. It's Colten Kahler here, along with Rodney Knuppel and Mitch Martin. As you see, we are without our regular host, Tanner Kern. He has decided to take a different career path, and he is taking a new job. So we congratulate him on his new job and wish him well. But the show must go on, fellas. I mean, theater doesn't stop for anybody. So, we've got to continue the show in his honor. So here we are. And how are we doing?
I personally am doing wonderful. I am doing wonderful. Cardinals are winning. It was pretty nice outside. Got to see some youth baseball. But, yeah, I'm doing well. How about Mitch? How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I mean, the Jays are tied with Boston right now, so I could be doing better. And we got snow today in the middle of April, which isn't the best. But other than that, things are going well for me, for sure.
Not great when you get snow in April. Not great.
No.
Even in Central Illinois, when you're wearing your winter coat, it's not good in April.
No.
But hey, it's supposed to be like 78 here this weekend, so we'll be bathing in the sunshine, Rodney.
Yes. Another youth baseball tournament. I'll be getting sunburned. I got wind burnt the last 2 nights, so I'll get sunburn on this weekend. Looking forward to it.
All right, I want to start in the AL East with Mitch's Blue Jays. And Mitch, I talked to Tanner earlier, and I was like, the AL East, is it going to be a little overrated? It's still early. We're through a week, small sample size, but they're kind of beating each other up a little bit here early.
Yeah, I kind of expected them to beat each other up throughout the whole season. Like, you got the Yankees who are kind of aging. They seem to be on the latter cusp of years with all their players. And then you got Boston, who's a young team, a lot of young players. They've got a good lineup as well, but their pitching needs a lot of work. The Jays are a pretty good, well-rounded team, but they've had a couple of injuries. I think these teams are going to continue to beat up on each other all season. They're all pretty good, other than Baltimore, who's might not even win 50 games. We're not sure. I can see this division being super close up until the end of the year. And who knows? Maybe 4 teams might move on from the AL East. So we'll see.
I mean, Baltimore off to a hot start after a big series win over the Yankees. I mean, that's got to be brutal for Yankees and Yankees fans, but I'm sure Tanner loved every second of that.
Oh, I loved it too.
Not a big Yankees guy,
so yeah. Oh yeah.
It's just I don't want to jump the gun too much here, especially. Again, it is early in the season. It is a small sample size that we've seen here early. But, you look at the records in the AL East, and they're not pretty. You can say that about a lot of divisions because, teams are still trying to get out of their winter slump. But let's look at the standings here. I believe your Blue Jays are in first by a game at 6-4. And then it's 500 or worse after that. And the the Baltimore Orioles have only 3 wins, and 2 of those just came this last weekend. I mean, that's not very good.
Other than the Mets, though, I feel like the numbers just around baseball are down right now. Like, a lot of teams are at 500. The shortened spring might have something to do with that. It seems like hitters are just starting to get up to speed with the fastball because, pitchers have been way out in front of them starting off from the beginning of the year. So I think we'll start to see some teams pull away. Come May, June, we'll start to see who's the real contenders and who are the pretenders. So,
is it truly a 3-team race with, Baltimore or not Baltimore? Goodness, with Tampa Bay, Boston, and the Blue Jays?
Got to add the Yankees in there somewhere, though, right?
Well, yes and no. I mean, I think the Yankees are more pretenders than they are contenders. Their pitching staff is kind of brutal. And they're just built for Yankee Stadium and hitting a bunch of 310-foot home runs to right field. I mean,
yeah, but I think they're going to stick around. I mean, they're going to stick around. And I know you talked earlier about their records, but I think at this point in the season, if you just flirt with 500 for a while, you can withstand having a 500 April. That's not the worst thing. And then, you build from there, win a couple more games in May, and then you get hot in the summer. But, and that's the crazy part is if you are 500 or better, I think you can consider that a decent month, unless somebody goes 20-5, and then you're digging yourself in a big hole. So I don't typically have too big of a problem first month, a team going, right around the 500 mark, like most of those teams are. We'll see if we can get Mitch back here at some point.
Yeah, I think he lagged out a little bit there, but You know, there's, like Mitch said, there's only a few teams that have truly kind of got off to a hot start. The Mets and the Dodgers. I mean, the Dodgers had that rough opening series against the Rockies, but then have since turned things around with, I believe, about 7 out of their last 8 or so they've won. 4-game sweep over the Reds, but the Reds are terrible. I mean, we know that more than anybody.
Yeah, Red's not great. And they had some karma with how they spent their off season, and then some early comments from their front office about, hey, where Reds fans going to go? No matter how bad we are, where are they going to go? Well, they're not going to go to Great American Ballpark, because where they're not going to go. And and so if you're a NL Central contender, I know we've kind of flipped from one to the other here, but if you're a Cardinals, Brewers, if the Cubs think they can compete, you've got to beat up on the Reds, and that you just got to get 2 out of 3, you got to get a 3 out of 4, you got to get a sweep in there, because you got to take advantage of that. You got to take advantage of Pittsburgh. Because the rest of the National League, I think, is pretty competitive. I mean, you look at the NL East, and I know the Marlins aren't great, but you're going to see the Braves, you're going to see the Mets, you're going to see the Phillies compete, and in the West, all those teams are going to compete. So you got to take advantage of those bad teams, especially early on.
Yeah, the NL Central is where I wanted to hop to next. Cardinals are playing right now; they're up 5-1 in the 8th. Hey, that Albert Pujols guy. I mean, for people that said we're pretty skeptical about him hitting, he's kind of proved those haters to be quiet here early.
Yeah, I know he doubled in the second, and then his second at bat was a single. What are you doing his third at bat tonight?
I think he grounded out. He just almost hit another home run. It had the distance, but is foul down the left field line.
Yeah, and I'll let you know ahead of time, because I'm a few seconds ahead of you.
Let's say you are very far ahead of me of where I am.
And Albert's going to be the type of guy he's going to have to play against left-handed pitching. He's going to, but the problem is they're not going to face left-handed pitching all that often. If you look at the rest of this series, Alcantara goes tomorrow for Miami, and Lopez goes on Thursday, and then who knows who Cincinnati's going to send at you. So he will get an opportunity to face some righties along the way, but boy, he's killed left-handed pitching to this point, and that's a great thing to have. Especially if Corey Dickerson can get going from the other side and start hitting against right-handers or a Lars Nootbaar. So been a good start for Albert. Yes.
Well, not only that, but even against right-handers in the games that he has played, it's not like he's looked bad. He's hit the ball very hard, just unfortunately right at people.
Yeah.
But even, an opening day, he had 3 very hard hit balls, and I believe 2 of them he got on base.
Yeah.
So, he's producing in ways that I think a lot of people didn't think he would. Will he get to 700? I mean, if he hits a home run every 4 games or so, like he has, most definitely he'll get there. He hit by a pitch here in his last at bat, but things are trending in the right direction for him.
Short, quick story. The boy that caught the 698th home run is grew up. His parents grew up locally here. They live in Rockford now, but the mom is a Manitou, Green Valley, Midwest Central player or lady, and it's kind of a cool moment for that teenager getting ball number 681 up there in Milwaukee. Colten, how often are you going to be in St. Louis if he's near that 700 mark?
I might get a hotel or claim residency down there for a little bit. I mean, one of the two, but I would definitely hope to be down there a lot. But back to that 15-year-old, my probably favorite part about that is the last time Albert was in a Cardinals uniform, that kid was like 4 years old. He has no idea probably who Albert Pujols really is when he was at his end of his career in St. Louis. And so that was probably home run number 2 that he's truly seen in his lifetime. And just to see the joy on their face was absolutely, and then the dads jumping up and down, going just as nuts as the kids are. So that was very funny there. I see we got, a couple viewers here. If you guys have any thoughts or anything from your favorite teams, send them and drop them in the comment box, and we'll put them up here and we'll talk about them. But you bring up an interesting point in the NL East. Marlins are playing the Cardinals right now. Marlins are coming off a series win against the Phillies. I know it's early again. We need to reiterate that because it's we're through just over a week and a half of the season. But the Phillies, my pick to win the NL East, just got taken to the woodshed this last weekend by the Marlins. I mean, there was one game that was close. Other than that, there were blowouts.
Yeah, I mean, it's baseball. That's always what I go back to is like the cream will rise to the top. The rise to the top. I mean, 162 games. Yes, that happened. Yes. I mean, do we think the Marlins are actually better than the Phillies? No. Do we think the Phillies will probably come out of that better? Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think the body of work of the Phillies are better. They got off to a slow start. Yeah. I think what you look for if it's your team is how consistent are we? And obviously Philly is something they're going to try to find that consistency. But I don't get overly worried too much. Again, kind of falling back early in the standings or losing an early series. It happens. It's baseball. I just look for consistency from my team as the season goes along, and Phillies are going to have to find that somewhere along the way. And I wonder about their pitching if they can find that consistency, because I think that's where their weakness is going to fall.
It's not so, the back end of their rotation is not good. They're 1 and 2 are pretty solid with Wheeler and Nola. But the back end kind of does scare me a little bit. I think they've got Ranger Suarez. They brought up him from the bullpen this year to be a starter, but their defense is what truly worries me, is because, it was arguably, I think the worst or like second worst statistical defense in the MLB last year. And it doesn't look like it's got a whole lot better. I mean, what do they have to do? Because a lot of those defensive players are kind of what brings their offense as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems to be a broken roster for the Phillies. They're going to have to hit their way into a playoff spot is what they're going to have to do. And I know that's hard to do. Like, you have to be really, really good offensively to hit your way consistently into the playoffs. If you don't have great starting pitching and you can't defend, like, that's not great. That's not a great situation to be in. So, I think if I was looking at the Phillies, I'd probably say that's probably a third place team. Mets, Braves are probably better. Nationals probably not, and the Marlins shouldn't be. So that's probably a third place team. Now, can you be a third place team and win 85 games? Well, now you have a chance to make the playoffs, or you're going to be a third place team with 78 wins. That's not going to make the playoffs. So, I would be hard pressed to see the Phillies not finish third in that division.
The Rockies are off to a 7-3 start, Rodney. It kind of catching a lot of people by surprise. Is this something that you think that they can keep up, for the season and possibly with the expanded playoffs find their way in?
No.
No.
No. Short answer on that one is no. No, I just don't see it. I mean, again, I think that's a lot like the Phillies. Like, you're going to have to hit a lot. Like, you're going to have to hit a lot, and you can hit a lot in Denver. You might hit a lot in Denver, but consistently now you're going to play the Dodgers 15 to 18 times. You're going to play the Padres. You're going to play the Giants. Now you're going to get your wins against Arizona. But I don't see it. I would put this a lot like the Phillies. They're probably a third, maybe even a fourth place team when it's all said and done. That's kind of my thing with Major League Baseball is, like, through 162 games, there's not a lot of surprises. Like, we've figured out, I mean, we're guessing playoff teams, and Colten, I think if you guess the playoffs teams at the beginning of the year, what are you getting? Probably 10 to 12 of them right? I mean,
yeah.
There's only going to be a couple surprises.
Right.
And I don't see the Rockies as one of those. I would like to see it. I like the Rockies. I've always liked the Rockies. I like Colorado sports teams. I don't have a problem with them. I just don't see that team consistently winning. Scoring a lot of runs, yeah, but again, pitching, I just don't see it.
I think that division is going to be one to watch because the Giants don't seem to be shying away already. I figured they would have a little bit of a regression this year because I thought they really overexceeded last year. I didn't think they were all that good. And they just found, the most important thing to do in sports and in the game of baseball, finding ways to win. And they did that a ton last year, 107 times to be exact. But I really don't know, will Chris Bryant, him leaving, granted he was there for a couple months, but that's still a significant loss for them because he was ultimately a big part of that team down the stretch.
Yeah, I would find kind of, the opposite role for them. Like, I just don't know as if they're going to hit enough. And San Francisco's a tough place to hit. Are they going to hit enough in that lineup? But I said that last year, and I look at that lineup, and I'm like, how in the world does this team continue to win? Yes, they're going to fall back from 107 wins. They're going to. That's almost a given. They're not gonna do that again. I think they have a little, probably, I guess you call it a chip on their shoulder, because they are main rivals with the Dodgers, and everybody wants to talk about the Dodgers. And then you got kind of little brother south there with San Diego. So the Giants kind of come into almost every game. I feel like we've got a chip on our shoulder. Like we've got to play. Like I feel like they're always a very motivated team, not a great talented team, but have a lot of motivation, and they'll take care of Colorado, and they'll take care of Arizona. They're going to battle with their rivals, and we all know this. Cardinal Cubs happen all the time. Rivalry games, even if you're not as good as the other team, you're still going to find a way to maybe even win half of them. Mm-hmm. So, the Giants are going to compete. They're not going to win 107 games. Are they going to make the playoffs? I mean, there's so many teams that make the playoffs now. I think there's an opportunity for them to, but they're not winning that division. Dodgers are winning the NL West.
It's 100% most definitely the Dodgers division to win. And in my opinion, it's not going to end up being close. The Padres, I think they're going to be better once Tatis comes back, but their pitching staff really continues to kind of they raise question marks, because Blake Snell has not been the same. He's not the Tampa Bay Blake Snell anymore. I mean, he's regressed a little bit. Yu Darvish is not the Yu Darvish he was in Chicago. He didn't make it out of the second inning in his first start of the year. Now, granted, his last start, I believe on Sunday night, pitched well. So a good bounce back performance from him. But, they've seen issues with Chris Paddock. They're thinking about trading him, and they're really trying to figure out their rotation, but they've got so much going in and out shuffling. They can't figure out what's going to stay consistent for them. And the pitching has to be consistent for them to succeed.
Yeah. But I think there's a little bit of, you see like what happened last year with San Diego. And I feel like they're going to fix, like, that fold was obviously one of the more epic folds you'll ever see. Like, that's not going to happen again. And what team are they? Are they that team that we saw the first 3 months, or are they that team we saw the last 3 months? And I think you're going to see, I would guess you'll see more of the consistent winning Padres. I think that's a good team. And Tatis will help, obviously. I still like Yu Darvish. I'm on record, and it's a bad on record for me. It's a bad take. But I said when Yu Darvish came over to the Cubs that he would win a Cy Young. He hasn't done it. He's probably not going to do it. I like Yu Darvish. I didn't like him in that start. He didn't get out of the first inning. But I like Yu Darvish. I think he's a guy that obviously is going to give you, some good innings. I like that Padres team. But again, just like the Giants, not going to win the NL West. But if I had to pick, I'd go Dodgers 1. I'd go San Diego 2. I'll go San Francisco 3. And then, your Colorado question earlier, unfortunately, I think there's still 4 in that division. And then the Diamondbacks are bad.
Yeah, and I think the Central in the NL is most definitely the Cardinals to win. I don't think that the Brewers are going to be able to keep up as they did last year. Their pitching staff, we already see them kind of regressing a little bit. Their offense is still hit and miss. I don't think Mitch is back here.
Sorry about that. Oh my gosh.
There he is.
I just fought with my Wi-Fi for 10 minutes there, and I won the battle. So,
attaboy.
So we're in the NL Central, Mitch. I know it's not quite your area of expertise, but Rodney and I, the big Cardinal fans here, we've got to get a little bit in here.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Are the Cubs a dark horse for second place in the division?
I don't know if they have enough on their squad this year. Like they lost so many guys last year. I mean, they have a few young guys that seem like they're outperforming what they might actually be at the beginning of the season here. I don't know if they have enough. They got some decent pitching. Their bullpen.
I think we lost him again. He froze on us.
Got him back just to lose him.
Yeah. So I'm not as down on Milwaukee as you are, Colton, and I know Tanner was way down on Milwaukee too. I'm not as down on them. Do I think they're as good as we saw last year? Probably not. I mean, we saw Burns struggle early on, but guys are going to struggle early on. We also saw Woodford come back and kind of dominate the Cardinals. That offense, I mean, Andrew McCutcheon's still going to find ways to get on base. He's still going to find ways to score. Whether Christian Yelich has lost it or not, he's still an MVP years ago. We've seen Colton Wong, hit or miss. I'm not as down on Milwaukee. I still think they are a playoff team. Do they win that division? No, I think it is the Cardinals, but the Cardinals got to figure out a way to pitch. I mean, they still have question marks. I mean, I know Adam Wainwright is your ace, but how long can he be your ace? And he's old. Like, at some point he's going to fall apart, right? And then what happens if Adam Wainwright falls apart? Like, I know Miles Mikolas was good in his last start. I know Steven Matz was good in his last start, but they were bad in their first start. So again, consistency of the Cardinals and their pitching staff is a huge, huge concern for me. I think St. Louis and Milwaukee are going to be really close. And I think you might disagree on that, but Milwaukee's better than I think you're giving them credit for.
Mitch,
you guys would know more than me, but is Cincinnati still kind of like, are they just a skeleton of what they were last year, or do they have any sort of shot in that division?
No, they traded a bunch of guys. They got rid of a bunch of guys. I mean, anytime you got Joey Votto, and some of those guys, you're going to be interesting. But no, that's a bad team. I mean, they've gotten off to a slow start, 2-9 now, 7 straight losses. They're better than 2-9. And they'll compete against the Cardinals because they always do. They'll compete against Milwaukee in games, but not in the standings. They will probably only finish ahead of Pittsburgh, who is 5-5 to start the year. I mean, if you're Pittsburgh, you're 5-5. You're having a parade. I mean, 5-5 in Pittsburgh. 5-5 in Pittsburgh. You're having a parade. So, Cincinnati. No, Cincinnati's bad. It is the Cardinals and the Brewers, and I still think Milwaukee's going to be right there.
It's not good when Joey Votto is more concerned about making TikToks before the game than he is playing baseball, and when he's more worried about doing ESPN interviews than he is playing baseball. I mean, that's pretty much the season right now for Cincinnati. I mean, it's a joke.
Joey Votto, a Hall of Famer?
No.
Here he is. He's like one of our best Canadians.
Joey Votto is in the Hall of Very Good.
Yeah, I mean, Joey Votto has put up I know that's kind of why I asked Mitch, is I know he's a legend there. He's literally a legend. And I've never had a problem with Joey Votto. I mean, the guy is a 300 career hitter. He's hit over 330 home runs. He's got over 1,000 RBIs. He's going to play in 2,000 games by the end of this year. He's 38 years old. I don't know what Hall of Famers are anymore. Like, it's so hard to figure out that. He did win an MVP, finish runner-up, a time or two. So I don't know. I think that's an interesting question. Probably right. Colton Hall is very good, but he's got really good numbers. And I know if you're putting a Canadian Hall of Fame, Joey Votto is there.
Oh, for sure. I think Votto's kind of just like super consistent. He's what you want for a baseball player when you draft him. You want him to play every season. You want him to play 150, and you want him to put up 300 numbers. I don't think he's won too much with Cincinnati. Like, I know he doesn't have a World Series, at least from my recent memory. So I don't know if that's going to exactly get him in the Hall, but I think he's definitely an honorable mention. Like, I could see him at least getting some votes, if not a lot. So it's a good question.
We know more than anything that the Baseball Writers Association of America just don't know anything, and they're just a bunch of grumpy old men who, for some reason, I guess, they vote the way they vote. And there's so many flawed issues in our voting system for the Hall of Fame. I mean, you look at this last year, the steroids or not, Barry Bonds should be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, it's as simple as that.
Well, if you're letting other guys with steroids, and then yeah, for sure.
Right. And there's so many people that should be probably in the Hall of Fame that are not. And there's probably some people in the Hall of Fame that shouldn't be. It's always going to be that way. But for me, it just goes down to Votto did not win enough. I mean, he really has had no postseason success. And I think that's something that's really going to be kind of put on him when it comes to voting days.
Colten, I thought you were turning all political there for a second. There's flaws in our voting system for the Hall of Fame. I thought we were going somewhere else there for a minute. I was all into it. Yeah,
I do want to go somewhere else within the game of baseball because I do have a lot of issues with the game of baseball and with society. I mean, I truly hate our society. At times, there's times it's great, and then there's times where it's just it really bugs me. In the game of baseball right now, really bugs me. I saw something today about Jeff Passan put something out with the new pitch clocks and whatnot, and the batters have a clock. 14 seconds for the pitcher to throw the pitch and like 5 seconds for the batter to get to the box and be ready. It's shaved off 15 minutes of game time. 15 minutes. And not only that, we've got these new electronics to, help us with the pitches instead of giving signs, because apparently the Milwaukee broadcasters, the St. Louis Cardinals, are stealing signs on the road because they've never seen Freddie Peralta get hit before. I mean, we're just blowing everything out of proportion. The game of baseball does not need to be sped up. It wasn't meant to be a fast-played game. It was supposed to be 3 hours and 15 minutes. If we can't enjoy 3.5 to 3:15 of our day, and we're worried about 15 to 20 minutes, you're not a true baseball fan. And I'm on a little bit of a tyrant here because it's really frustrating me, because as society, we just want instant gratification. We want everything close. We want it now. We want it to be over, done with, so we can go on the next thing. And the game of baseball is not meant to be that way. I'm a traditionalist when it comes to baseball. All right. I'm on my soapbox of old man, get off my lawn right now, because the youth of this generation are trying to change the game, and it's quite honestly pissing me off.
But is it the youth though?
I truly think it is. I mean, if you look at the way the game has changed, everything is it's home run or bust. When Tommy Edman laid down that sacrifice bunt, Rodney, in that series at Milwaukee, I was down here in my basement. I stood up and I clapped. I love a good sacrifice bunt. Instead of bunting to beat the shift, we need to be little whiny crybabies and say, oh no, we need to ban the shift. I get paid millions of dollars and I don't know how to hit it the other way. Figure it out. If a 14-year-old can hit the ball the other way, so can you. And you're getting paid millions of dollars, so figure it out.
But who's advocating to change all these things? Is it the youth?
I think it's the older fans. Because I think baseball's kind of like, I don't know, I heard something interesting on the radio the other day, and they're basically saying that like baseball was created so long ago that when they created the sport, they kind of did it so that people had a way to pass time. Like that's why they made it a 4-hour game. People had nothing better to do back then, and there was not much to do, and that was what you did. You went to the ballpark and you watched a 4-hour game. I think it's kind of the traditionalists that are pushing for the changes in baseball now, because they want to see more eyes on the game from the youth, and they think that's going to make a difference. I don't know if it actually will. I think baseball's slowly dying within like at least I know a lot of younger kids don't watch the sport as much as I did when I was a younger kid. So I don't know. I think it's that older people the older generation of baseball fans pushing for the changes as opposed to the younger generation, even though home runs and all that fun stuff. I mean, there's always going to be a spot in the game for that, but I don't know. It's an interesting conversation.
Yeah. I mean, all these decisions are being made by older guys, older executives, right? I mean, I don't know. I don't see a lot of younger guys liking the stuff that's going, that the new changes. I don't know. I just want to see a baseball game. If I think the game's going too long, I'll just do something else. I don't have a problem. Like, I don't care if the game goes 4 hours. I don't have to watch. Nobody's holding me down to watch it for 4 hours. I can. What I like about baseball is I can literally watch a couple innings. I can go outside and do something, or I can, put my kids to bed, and I come back and the game's still on, and I can watch the end of it. Like, I miss the middle innings, okay, fine, or I can have it on my radio or whatever, and I don't care how long the game is. I do think there are some things that could be better as far as like mound. I mean, some of those mound visits are though ridiculous, Colten. I get the mound visits are fine, as part of the game, but like, do we need to be stepping off 15 times in an at bat? Like,
those are the things
right?
that could change. I would like to see a pitch clock.
Slow down the runner's feet.
Yeah, or throw more strikes.
Tom says not all older guys like the changes, and I'll be 21 here in about 2 weeks, and I feel like I'm going on 81 at this point because I just.
But I got socks that are 21, Colten.
I didn't mean to bracket all like the. No, I'm just saying like some of the older baseball purists are the ones that are pushing for the change.
I got you.
And there's so many other things, the way the baseball has changed itself. I mean, Buck Showalter, anytime one of his guys gets hit, he feels like it's a personal vendetta that people have against the Mets. It's like, bro, relax. Have you seen a Major League Baseball? There's barely any seams on the damn thing. It's amazing that these guys are able to move the baseball and throw it as hard as they do, because I caught one of those balls at batting practice, and I'm like, how does a guy throw this? I mean, compared to what you see in high school and in college, the hit by pitches have gone up, and guys are having a hard time controlling the ball. It had the sticky substance issue last year, Garrett Cole. Again, the way the game is being changed, there's so many issues with it, and I just don't think that we're being a little self-conscious, or to look at ourselves, and again, to me, whenever I see Buck Showalter get up on the front step and give his old man look at the pitcher, it's like, dude, sit down. What are you doing?
Yeah, but Colten, I mean, that's our boy Tony did that for a long time. Tony La Russa was pretty. I mean, that's his thing, though. Did you like it when he did it in St. Louis?
I mean, to be fair, a lot of those days I don't quite remember, and I wasn't quite as invested as I am now. But if that's the case, you can put La Russa and Showalter together because, they're two grumpy old guys that get frustrated about anything. So, we'll put out that out there. But also, I mean, the Savannah Bananas, I talked to you guys about this. I mean, what is this? This is a joke. I mean, I know it's minor league baseball. It's independent. I mean, whatever it is, it's not baseball. It's a
good way to get people to the ballpark, though.
Selling tickets, Colten. I mean, that's what you have to do. That if you don't sell tickets, you're not going to have a franchise there. Yeah, I mean, we see it locally, Colten. I mean, they have to find ways to sell tickets. That's why they have 1,000 firework nights. They have to find a way to get guys there. That's why they play Baby Shark 12,000 times in a game. Like, you got to find a way. And this is a stilts thing, but so what? Like, the guy threw stilts for an inning. Like, the other team knew it was going to happen, so it's whatever. It's minor. If you're going to play in minor league baseball, you know that you're going to have a little bit of joke. You're also going to be riding a bus. This kind of sucks. If you don't like it, get better and make the major leagues.
I guess it's just the traditional to me just absolutely it grinds my gears. They pop up on my TikTok page, and I'm this close to just blocking them on my TikTok just so I don't have to see it, for crying out loud.
Well, just deactivate TikTok. That's your first.
No. See, that's my. Well, I should, because TikTok is my problem. I'll sit on there for hours and I procrastinate everything. Yeah. But it's unbelievable where the game that I grew up loving is going, and it bothers me to see the direction.
That's the one social media app this old man I just don't use. I just don't use the TikTok. I don't know. I looked at it for a while, and I'm just not interested. I don't know. It's just not one of them. I mean, I live on Twitter, but I can't do the TikTok. So
it is addictive to me. But that kind of concludes our talk. You guys, any final thoughts before we wrap things up?
No. Deactivate your TikTok. No, I'm kidding. No.
I mean, that's kind of what it sounded like. That's the moral of the story tonight. Is like, you are going to be 21 and you're going on 61, but somehow you have TikTok, and TikTok makes you mad, and you continue to get on TikTok. Like, I don't understand. Like, all you got to do is press the deactivation button.
See, I enjoy it too much. That's my problem.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad baseball's back. I'm glad it's a normal year. You and I have both been to games live, fun games to go to. I'm going to a couple more. In fact, Mitch, I'm going to see your Blue Jays in New York City here in a couple weeks.
There you go. That'll be a good series.
Yeah, it will be a good series. And then heading over to Citi Field and seeing the Cardinals and Mets right after that. So looking forward to that. Baseball season is just fun. Trying to get my 10-year-old into it more. You brought that up, Colten, the whole thing with Albert Pujols. Like, he knows who Albert Pujols is, but he never saw Albert Pujols play because Pujols left the Cardinals when he was 6 months old, and then he played for the Angels, and the Angels don't start before 9 o'clock. So he doesn't watch. He sees highlights and stuff like that. But you're talking about Angels, and it's Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani. Like, wait, Albert Pujols was on the Angels? Like,
right.
Yeah. So, he's starting to get into that. Obviously, he's got his favorites. He likes Bader and stuff like that. So I'm trying to carry on that tradition to my son. That's what I like about baseball. It's just the tradition, and you are too, Colten. The tradition of baseball, the grind of baseball, the strategy of baseball. It's just a beautiful thing. I'm glad it's back, and always fun to talk baseball.
Always fun to talk baseball, and again, rest in peace, Tanner. And I think that's our final thought tonight is rest in peace, Tanner.
we do got to get Mitch some better Wi-Fi up there north of the border. I don't know if he's coming in from I don't know what's happening, but yeah, we gotta get you some better Wi-Fi.
We're going through some tough troubles here at the crib. We got some bad snowstorm today. So
yeah, but that's the first problem. Like, if snow is causing your internet to go out, that might be a problem. Like, this is 2022. Sure. This is 2022, bro. Like, figure out an internet system where snow doesn't bother it, because you're in Canada, for God's sake. Like, it's gonna snow.
Agree. Yeah, I agree. If it was up to me, I would have 5G right beside my house. I'd have the tower right beside it. So
we'll work on that.
Guys, it's been fun, but that'll do it for us here this week on Between the Lines. For Rodney, for Mitch, this is Colten. See you next week.
See you guys.